Thank you for the Mining Forum 2022 for inviting me and having me. It's always a pleasure to participate. Mexico is a very important part of our global focus for mining. So, of course, I always jump at the opportunity to join this event. I'll make a presentation. I promise it won't be long, and it really just summarizes who we are and why we're particularly qualified to give an overview of where the mining sector is as we are rolling along in 2022 here, almost the end of the first month. Hard to believe. So as Myra introduced me, I'm head of global mining and the business development side for the Toronto Stock Exchange and the TSX Venture Exchange. We are part of the TMX group. The first thing that's advantageous for us as a mining stock market, as the world's leading mining stock market, is that we're located in Canada. Although we're a global business, and certainly all our clients or issuers are global companies, operate globally. The advantage of being in Canada, of course, is that we're rooted in a pretty stable country when it comes to having a financial services business. There are several reasons here that why Canada is noted to be one of the globe's leading banking system and financial centers of the world. So, as a stock market, both our exchanges, the TSX and the TSXV, we rank pretty well, though our country, Canada, is just over 30 million in population. We rank pretty well compared to some of the larger domiciled stock exchanges globally. Last year, in 2020 itself, we raised 43 billion. This is across all sector for companies in our markets, and we rank only fourth behind the China stock exchanges, the US stock exchanges, and the UK LSE and AIM. Last year, our markets in 2021 raised just under 57 billion. So you'll see a big increase there from the 43 billion the year before. So this is where I'm at. Last year, 57 billion was raised in our markets across all sectors, and over the past 5 years, we were talking about over 240 billion raised. Well, I talked about global market, and this is important because though we're located in Canada, we are a global stock market, and you'll see here this slide really just points to that fact. 40% of trading in our markets originate from outside of Canada. That's close to half of the trading that happens on the stock markets here are originated from outside of Canada, and a quarter of the institutional traders who are members of the stock exchange are headquartered outside of Canada. So truly a global marketplace. One of the unique factors about our market as well is that we have a two-tier system that is very unique. And not unique in itself just by being a two-tier system. There are two-tier systems in different markets. What's unique about Toronto, the TSX and the TSX Venture Exchange, is that our two-tier system is so active and so robust. So to list on the TSXV is not a downgrade in the sense that you're a lesser company, really, and investors won't pay attention to you, and you will just be in a grave for a long time. No. In Toronto, the TSXV is quite active, and that's perhaps most exemplified by our graduation rate, as companies have been at early stage will join the TSXV, and eventually as they mature and grow and become larger, they might choose to apply for graduation to the bigger board, to the TSX. On average, we have found that it takes about 4 years for companies to get to that point where they decide that we want to graduate. And as I said earlier, it's a very active process, and we're very happy about that. Last year, in 2021, we had a record number of mining companies graduating from the TSXV to the TSX. So that only speaks to the robustness of our two-tier market system. So there's a place. The key thing here is that there's a place for every company, no matter what stage of development or exploration you are, whether you're explorer, early point, prospecting company, exploring company, development company, or producing company. We have a place for you, and you will get equal amount of attention regardless of where you are. We are, of course, a leading mining exchange globally, over 33%, almost a third of every dollar raised by mining companies in the public markets over the past 5 years have been through our marketplace. Our nearest competitor is Australia, of course, and we're almost twice what the activity levels over the past 5 years that you've seen in Australia. So this is the home of mining, of global mining, certainly when it comes to the capital, to the public markets. This again sort of exemplifies the global nature of our business. This slide I like in particular because it shows that we have 5,200 over 5,200 properties represented on our markets, and close to half of that is outside of Canada. So you see we have a far reach. We have clients who are listed with us with properties in Russia. We have clients with properties in Australia, in Asia, Africa, South America, and Canada and US, of course. So we're very proud of the global nature of our marketplace. You find in some markets you go to and the mining companies are concentrated in a particular area. Not so. In the TSX and the TSXV, you are being exposed to global investors and global participants on the world stage. So that's very important to consider. Of course, though we're global, Latin America is a very important part of our business, and certainly outside of North America, Latin America is the next largest concentration of properties represented in our marketplace. And within North America, this slide you can see here, we have 410 companies operating in Latin America, and we do include Mexico in what we call our Latin America basket. And of that 410 companies operating in Latin America, with properties in Latin America, you will find that Mexico is the largest representation here amongst this Latin American basket by a long shot, really. And over 130 companies in our marketplace have properties in Mexico. So Latin America is our second largest region, and in that region, Mexico is the largest country for us in terms of properties represented. So a very, very important marketplace for us. And then, of course, that points to why I'm so happy to be here. So just to drill down a little bit into Mexico, again, as I said, 132 companies, and we always add in. Last year, in 2020, we added 2 companies, and I don't have the final numbers yet as to how many we added in 2021, but it's been a good year. Last year, 2021, it was better in all regards. So I'm pretty optimistic that we'll continue to see that upward trend. Of course, one of the best performing companies that we've had in our market in a long time is Gatos Silver, that joined us in 2020 through an IPO, and this company continues to be a beacon of how mining companies should operate and perform, and the stock has done quite well since the IPO. So what are we seeing here? We're really here, I was invited here to talk about the mining sector and what the highlights give you an update as to what happened last year. And this slide really points to that. On the left, you'll see, 2020 performance. We added 57 new mining companies in terms of listings to the markets. In 2020. In 2021, that number went up to 80. So 80 new companies joined the stock market. So it was an extremely good year for mining. And I would say in our markets and other markets globally, mining has certainly shown resilience and robustness in the face of a lot of challenges, in particular the pandemic. In terms of capital raised in our marketplace, we had a significant increase as well. 2020, companies raised 7.5 billion in our market, mining companies. Last year, that number went up to 10 billion. And of course, the financing numbers are impressive as well. And another impressive thing that we saw last year is the actual trading in our marketplace, and particularly the trading on the TSXV. Very robust. Several times last year, we had the TSXV trading volumes exceeding the big board, and the TSXV, that is significant because what that signifies is the level of activity in the junior markets. And we always get extremely excited when the junior mining sector is doing well, because this is, it's a funnel that really feeds into larger companies as companies grow. It was really encouraging to see the volume of trading that we saw last year on the TSX Venture market, and it's significant. It's significant. As I said, the 59 billion shares were traded on both our markets last year, and the TSXV was a large part of that. Themes that we saw last year in 2021 that we expect to continue into this year and perhaps even further are ESG. ESG continues to be at the forefront and the center of investment decision process for many investors. And the good thing is that mining companies are also responding to that demand and that requirement from investors that ESG be a part of their investment process and mining operations. And it's great. I think more and more companies are responding to that, particularly smaller companies, junior companies. With the whole ESG focus started in earnest, I would say about 4 years ago or 5 years ago or so. And I think at this point, I can truly say I'm encouraged to see the response of mining companies and how fast they have been in adopting and getting up to speed, particularly the junior companies. And we certainly are doing our best to help companies as much as we can. On our platform, we have several tools to help companies ramp up and scale that learning curve quickly. We offer companies ESG 101 platform where they can go in and learn the best practices around ESG and learn about ESG. We also last year started a JV with IHS Markit, where companies free of cost for all our issuers included in their listing with us. They have the opportunity to use IHS Markit ESG repository service where they can input their ESG reports and it be homogenized across all ESG standards. So investors, when they're meeting with investors can go into this repository and bring up the company, and regardless of whatever standard they're using, they can see how this company compares to other companies across all ESG frameworks. So very useful. We have many services. As I said, we have a whole department focused on helping companies meet the demands around ESG from our issuers when it comes to what investors are demanding. And certainly out of our European investors, we're seeing the most focus around ESG, and we think North American investors are there as well, but you'll see even more going forward. That's one trend we expect to continue into this year and certainly beyond. And I think mining companies are responding well to that. That's very encouraging. Also, another trend that's significant, certainly, and played a large part in this huge performance that you see here in numbers above last year, was the global emission reduction targets being, driving that accelerated demand for EV metals, lithium, the cobalt, etc. And we expect that to continue, of course, as the world becomes more focused on clean tech and as I said, global emission reduction. And the great thing that happened last year, I think not happened, but certainly accelerated last year, if you will, was the world recognizing how important mining is in these whole global emission reduction objectives. A few years ago, there was a lot of talk about mining, contributing to this significant. And sure, mining has contributed to this, but still, we can't throw out the baby with the bath. Mining has a role to play. In fact, mining has a key role to play in the world reaching these global emission reduction standards. So it was great to see that being recognized last year, and as a result, the demand for EV metals continues to rise, and we expect it to continue to rise, as well as as we go forward, we certainly expect to see this robust demand for EV metals continue. Base metals, of course, the fundamentals in this around base metals, it has been a concern for analysts for quite some time. And last year, we see this come to bear again, because not only EV metals, the key EV metals were in great demand, and we saw the market responded to that, but base metals as well. When you talk about copper, its role in infrastructure, and you talk about iron ore and its role, its demand and key role in infrastructure. And when you consider the supply-demand imbalance that's existed for quite some time, certainly we expect to see base metals continue to do well going forward. Another trend, just to speed it up, another trend last year that we expect to continue, of course, is M&A. We saw significant M&A activity. And of course, as companies globally are trying to secure supply of these key base metals and EV metals, they're looking to our market to acquire companies with properties in Latin America and certainly globally. We expect to see that continuing. We've seen, of course, the Chinese are quite active in Latin America, acquiring several properties in Argentina in recent time, and Latin America in general, around lithium, for instance. We're also seeing a lot of larger companies from globally, particularly Australian companies that traditionally have been focused only in Australia. They're diversifying and spreading now and reaching out across into the Americas for exposure in Canada, the US, and Latin America. And we expect to see that to continue. And as of course, those companies are continuing to look to the TSX, TSXV for our junior companies, smaller companies that are good opportunities to gain geographical exposure. We expect to see that continuing as we go forward here. And of course, the other trend that we saw last year is the pandemic and its impact on the global mining sector, and I'm sure the global economy. The Omicron variant reminded us in the last quarter of the year that perhaps the recovery from the pandemic will not be a sudden one. It won't be immediate after having your double shot. It may be extended with variants and the impact of those variants. And what that does, it might increase volatility in the mining sector. So we expect to see this volatility continue into 2022. And of course, precious metals might benefit from that as investors seek protection. But as well, there is an opportunity for mining companies to protect themselves against this volatility by, for instance, being on an exchange that can give them the fastest exposure to capital when it's available. So that's what we saw last year, and that's the update for the marketplace really in 2021. So that was it. If there's any other question, if you want to find out how to get listed, I do have some more information, and we can certainly share. See if I can go to the end here. There is a process of listing, and you can reach out to me and certainly find out how you can get listed on our stock market. Thank you for listening.